Hi there. I'm Kyle Woody, founder and executive director of Jack's Caregiver Coalition, where our mission is to improve the way that guys think, feel, and act through every phase of their caregiving journey. Welcome to our first Shine the Light campaign of 2021. And thank you for helping us shine a light today on Mr. Fred Sklenar. Fred is a guy who inspires us because when his lovely bride Annie was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, he wasted no time and reached out to us right away. At Jack's, we believe the world would be a much better place if every guy who was faced with navigating their loved one's catastrophic illness reached out and asked for help as wisely and as boldly as Fred did. We have been humbled and honored that Fred gave us the opportunity to pull up alongside him on his caregiving journey. And we are excited to share his story with you today. Our goal with this campaign is to make 10 more stories of caregiver support like Fred's a reality. $7,500 is all it would take, and with your help today, we can make that happen. In closing, I want to express our gratitude for our volunteer campaign team who are making today's broadcast possible. And because they are all volunteers, 100% of the funds raised from this campaign will go directly to our mission. Our campaign host, Rich Anderson, our producer, Mr. Chris Cloutier, and of course our honorees, Mr. Fred Sklenar, Mr. Dustin Cesaric, and Mr. Travis Robertson. These guys have all come together to make this campaign a reality. And with no further ado, here's our host, Mr. Rich Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle Woody. That's our executive director and the gentleman who introduced me to Jack's Caregiver Coalition. My name is Rich Anderson. I will be your host today. I'm also a caregiver, and I'm also on the board of directors. So with all of that experience, hopefully I can bring you an awesome half hour of information about one of the people we'd love to shine a light on. But before I get to that, I'd like to just tell you a teeny bit about the Shine the Light campaign and embellish what Kyle may have already told you. A couple years ago, we had a number of different fundraisers, and one of the things we realized we could do a better job of was shining the light on people like Fred. The caregiver role is the behind-the-scenes forgotten person in the cancer caregiving journey. And what we found is those caregivers need help too. And it's a great pleasure of mine to help other caregivers, and even a greater pleasure to highlight them in the Shine the Light campaign. Last year, we were able to highlight 12 different caregivers, and we're going to do it again here in 2021. Our first caregiver here is Fred, and we've got 2 more coming to you in the coming weeks. So look forward to talking to Dustin and Travis as we shine the light on caregivers. With that, I'd like to introduce you to our first nominee. And Fred, if you can come on in and join us, we'd love to introduce you to the rest of the Jack's Caregiver Coalition audience. Fred, how are you doing today, bud?
Good, Rich. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's kind of one of those shows that you probably never wanted to be on. But since you are now a caregiver and in the cancer journey, it's one of the best groups you'll ever be a part of. So thank you for being here with us. Tell me a little bit about just kind of like who you are, where are you located in the cities, and what do you like doing in your spare time? We'll get into the rest of the caregiving journey here in a second, but tell me a little bit about Fred.
Well, I am located in Lowertown, St. Paul. We have a condo about 8 blocks from here. My office is in Lowertown. I'm in a nice industrial building with a lot of other creatives. I'm a product designer, and I design for manufacturing, a variety of different consumer products, so hard goods, things like that. My condo is about 8 blocks away, so I walk back and forth here. I live in downtown St. Paul, and if not for COVID, we love the restaurants and theaters and things like that. So,
oh, it's just a great area, I can see it in my head, and now it makes me wish that it wasn't COVID time, so we could have done this in person and maybe gone and gotten something to eat afterwards. So maybe that'll be something to look forward to both of us.
Sure.
Well, let me transition just a little bit. How long have you been in the caregiving journey? The name of the person you're caring for, and where are they? And just high level. Obviously, don't need a lot of details, but just let us know kind of who else is involved in this journey and what's going on right now.
Sure. Well, my wife Annie is a year and I guess 2 months into her stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And she found out on her birthday. So a year later, here we are, and we're working through that. She's doing okay. She's getting scans, and she does chemo and things like that. So
yeah, good. Now, is she working as well, or is she not working, or what's her?
She was working. Yeah, she was working, and she stopped because of the cancer. Okay. And we had relocated here to downtown. We bought the condo many years ago and decided to move into the condo because it would put me in a nice city for my business, and she got a job very close by. She could walk to work, I could walk to work. So we really were living the city life, so to speak.
Yeah, you do. That's wonderful. How long have you two been together?
We're 8 years. We're married, say 14, 6. We're going on 6, coming into 7. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That's a wonderful story. And I like I said, I can't wait to visit you in Lower Town and check out the area. I can't imagine being close enough where I can walk to work. I have an 18-minute commute, and I thought that was short, but yours might be a 10-minute walk, much less commute. So 18
minutes, depending upon the red lights you get.
So I guess we have the same commute. You just enjoy yours a little more.
Yeah.
Well, good. Tell me a little bit about the caregiving journey. What is your role today in terms of housework or running errands or going to the chemo visits? Where do you intersect with the caregiving journey?
Yeah, with the chemo visits and the like, I really was making it my business to go with her. I wanted to be there. I feel it's important to participate with her so she knows that, she's supported, but with COVID, they, shut the door and you're not allowed in. So I drive her, I walk with her. I make sure at least I'm taking that portion of the trip and go back. She's every 3 weeks now. They pushed her out. So, so that is, kind of it puts us in a place where we kind of have these roller coasters of how she's feeling, and I'm participating in all the house care and balancing between the days that she's good and the days that she's not so good, and sometimes it's a challenge to know what we're waking up to, but she basically my role is in a supportive manner to be there for her. We're lucky enough that she's not bedridden. She's not losing her cookies all the time, and some people are challenged with those kinds of things, and so it's kind of okay. That's my role. That's what I do. I take care of that and try and be her rock, if you will.
Yeah. No, and I get it. As you know, I am also going through the caregiving journey. My wife was actually at treatment this morning, so I had to leverage a friend who volunteers to help drive to and from some of the appointments, and that's what allows me to be here today. But it's I liked how you mentioned that you wake up and see how the day is going to play out. One of the common themes in the interviews I've done is our appreciation for the day to day. Each day, if it's a good day, you live it, and if it's a tough day, you get through it. But each day can present its own challenges and its own rewards. What are some of the the simple pleasures in life nowadays? Are you guys eat dinner at home or watching a movie on Netflix, or do you like walking around the block? What is it that brings you joy?
Well, I think that trying to spend time with her is the basic foundation of that, right? So I try to, I have to balance. I run my own business, and I have the luxury of having my own studio to go to. So I get to step away a little bit and clear my brain, but then also coming back, and we've moved into a vegan lifestyle, much to my kicking and screaming. I'm kind of a steak kind of guy, but we're trying to understand the value of food, and so we're really planning. I think one of the things that I'm enjoying is sort of looking at the week and saying, okay, Monday we're going to do this, and Tuesday we're going to do that for food, for our meals, and putting that in kind of a place allows me to be trying good old standard recipes, but on a vegan slant, and kind of new. I used to be a chef. I grew up in a restaurant, and I kind of appreciate that. So that's been enjoyable for the two of us to kind of be working that, and yeah.
Also, I was going to ask if you used to do a lot of the cooking, or if that's a new thing. My guess is you probably cooked all along.
Yeah, she's a good cook in and of herself, and she enjoys, though, what I bring to the culinary experience, and and sometimes that's a drain too, because it's not every meal can be this grand a recipe with cream sauces and all kinds of things, right? So sometimes it would be easier, given all the other things that are going on with cancer and the world right now, that if we could just, pop out the TV dinner once in a while, so you try to make a lot for, leftovers and things like that. But yes,
we're big on leftovers too. We try to do maybe two kind of like bigger meals a week where you get, 2-3 servings out of it. And then you have some lighter dishes and things like that. We too are mostly vegan. My wife is almost entirely. And I'm allergic to dairy. So, if we can do a vegan dish, then everybody's happy. Tell you, one of my favorite ones, we'll see if you've done this one yet, is vegan lasagna. And not only that, gluten-free vegan lasagna, if you can even imagine that.
Yeah.
Pretty
well, make it a nice veggie lasagna for sure is easy, just to swing it to the vegan side real quick, and trying to discover the world of substitute cheeses is interesting.
My goodness. What a long way they've come, though. I can tell you, when I was diagnosed with dairy allergy years ago, boy, it was like eating cardboard, some of the cheese substitutes, and now it's, I may be a little out of touch with the cheese of the world, but I can tell you it's come a very, very long way. I mean, that lasagna, you get the right mozzarella and get it all ooey and gooey, and boy, it tastes wonderful. So
you bet.
There's another reason we might have to hang out sometime soon. We can compare some recipes. And I was just talking to another Jack. His name is Joe. I guess it's a J thing. And it turns out he's a little bit of a culinary experimenter as well. So we might have a cooking event waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So that reminds me, how did you find out about Jack's? What was your first point of contact, and what has your interaction been with since you discovered Jack's?
Sure. I was very much struggling to find I consider my wife and I a unit. So if she has cancer, I have cancer. We have cancer, right? So in that sense, I was struggling, looking for, everything was focused for her. I mean, all of the medical world is all. So, but the social worker, as part of the care in oncology, actually had a flyer, had a little thing, and said, here's something you might want to check out. And so I reached out. I went to the website, and I will tell you, the first meeting that I joined, now everything has been virtual, because it was a year ago when she was diagnosed, right when COVID came to town. Yep. And I went on and joined a virtual. The feeling when the hour session was over with 5, 6, 8 guys there, the sense of common experience is just, you can't get that anywhere else, because I have a couple of friends, occasionally they'll call you and, oh, I can imagine how you feel. No, you can't. And unless you have it, have been through it, or are a caretaker or have been a caretaker, kind of understanding, it's different from an, aging parent per se. This is sort of, my significant other, right? This is my spouse. And, so the experience was great. I mean, it's a reminder that, we're all in the same boat, and that has its ups and downs. But I think that, once then I got to know a few of the faces coming back regularly, there'd be Alan and Mark and Chris, and, there'd be these guys, and, they would know Fred, right? So they understood, maybe a little bit of my story from having heard me, share stuff. So in fact, even the group got together and did a very nice social distancing event. We went out shotgunning, as a group, and went and did this, 2-3 hour thing. It was great to kind of be out with other guys. Unfortunately, not able to get close enough to, give them a pat on the back or have, clink a beer or something like that. But regardless, that's been my experience. I think that I've had occasion to, call a couple of guys one-on-one, and I've gotten, a couple of contacts that way. And, it's good to be able to have that, because I'm just a backstory, back up a little bit. I'm originally from New York City. I've been out here in the Midwest for about 12, 13 years, and all my family is back east. I have no sister or brother who's going to come over and visit with me. I don't have any of that. I have nothing. I feel like I'm on an island out here, and the Jack's group has been a little bit of that other people can talk to. Hey, I went and go visit my sister and her kids or whatever, like they're all back east. They're 1,800 miles away. So I can't get on a plane because of COVID. It's not as if the two of us can jump between chemos, or something. So, something like that.
Well, this is a good chance for us to pause just a second and remind everybody that there's a lot of people like Fred out there, like myself, like Chris and Mark and Alan, the people that you mentioned in your group. And you'll see a URL here on the screen. And that's our fundraising site. Fred and I are just talking, and we're trying to share the message. The reality is whether or not I had to pay for this membership or not, it's one of the best groups I've been in. But some members can't afford to pay for a membership or to pay for some of the events that we do once COVID turns back on. I know last week, as an example, we had a Top Golf event, and some of the folks went and swung a golf club and, did their best to social distance and wear their masks. And those events cost money. But the reality, like Fred says, is some of us are on an island. Even if we do have family or friends in the area, it's an interesting dynamic when you get cancer to figure out who your really good friends and your really good family are. Many of the folks that they used to spend time with just aren't available, or you can't synchronize your calendars. So Jax is here to help people like Fred and I, to help Alan and Mark and Chris and all the other folks so that they can talk to people who get it. So if you're watching this now and you can spare some money or help sponsor Fred's journey, click on the link, go ahead and show us some love. And we're going to see how many more people like Fred we can support in 2021. So Fred, back to you. Tell me a little bit. I know that when we were preparing for the conversation today, you did mention that you didn't have family nearby, but that Annie's family was able to help out. What are some of the things that they're doing, and what kind of benefit are you getting from that?
Yeah, well, I think it's, again, COVID just came in and just, put the lightning rod in between everything. And her mom and sister, came up right away at the beginning of the diagnosis, and, brought food and things like that. And, it waned off because of COVID. And her sister is currently pregnant and just about to give birth to what would be her 5th and 6th child. She's got twins in the other. So Jen is providing. She built a website, actually, songforannie.com. I'm a jazz musician. I wrote a song about my wife called Song for Annie. And so her sister made a website that is just like a blog history, story, and place for Annie to go kind of and write some thoughts about her journey. And I wrote the story of how we met there, and it's kind of her blog and things. So her sister did that for her, and I think that was a wonderful thing because it gave an impetus for Annie to start writing, and that's kind of become her thing that she's doing. She's trying to detail that. So her mom has been very supportive, and right after the diagnosis, before COVID was whatever, we flew to Tucson and spent time with her. She had rented a villa down there, a 2-bedroom thing or whatever, and that was enjoyable. It was good. I think with, and I apologize to keep mentioning COVID, but I think without that, it would have been a little bit more of some of that family stuff. I have some personal friends who are trying to stay in touch, and they reach out, and I'll reach out to them, and some buddies I have, and workmates that have become good friends, and try and get that. But again, it comes back to them maybe not really kind of fully getting the concept of where our journey is, Rich. And I actually have been reaching out to Kyle, our managing director there, directly, because I know he's got a couple of things going on, and trying to lend some of my business acumen to some of the thought things that he's working on and stuff like that. So I think it's a two-way street. I think that with what she has in her mom and her sister and friends, she's got a really good friend, Susan, that she went and had a wonderful day on Saturday. Just don't tell anybody. But I came to my shop, and I worked in my wood shop. Because I have a whole prototype shop over here, and I do woodworking. And she went to go visit her friend Susan. And they had a bonfire, and they sat outside in the snow and separate, social distancing and everything. And I was able to come into my shop. What a great day I had. It was, that's kind of what you can't do. You have to put that stuff aside when you're a caregiver, and you're, all of a sudden I feel the urge to rush home because I want to prepare a meal, as opposed to, I got a little more work to do here. I'll stay another hour or two. And, we're empty nesters, so we don't have to worry about the kids and all that. But anyway. Like that. Yeah.
Well, it's you just answered a couple more questions of mine, which is what do you do when you do have time for yourself? But one of my other questions is as COVID either works its course or the vaccines come in or whatever happens, and we're able to get back together, aside from you and I enjoying some meals together, what would you like to do? What would be something you would look forward to doing with other Jacks? Getting on doing things, and I'm sure you've seen the website. We've done axe throwing and extreme sandbox and go-karts and golf and all sorts of things. The two things that you just mentioned that I think would be interesting, one is I'd love to go to a jazz club. I love jazz, and if you are a jazz musician, you probably know of a few. But then you mentioned a wood shop as well. 2 years ago, Chris and I did the chainsaw ice sculpting. Have you ever seen those big ice sculptures?
Right.
We did that with a professional trainer and had a blast. We were really, really cold, but oh my goodness, was it fun and an incredibly unique experience. Do any of those sound good to you, or would you have a request to make when we can get out again?
Yeah, that stuff's all great, and I think the what is it, with the machinery, the bulldozers,
extreme sandbox,
extreme sandbox. We were talking about that a couple of years ago, and I just saw the images there, and that's fun. I had occasion, I don't know, 15 years ago, I needed to dig a trench in the backyard to get the water out, and I actually rented one of those things, a small one, and it was a blast. I had a great time. I spent all day out there. It was great. So yeah.
Yeah, these are the big,
yeah, just,
these are the
that
big.
stuff. And I had said also, and love it if when the venues open back up and I start getting back to performing with my band, to have a group of Jack's guys come and see my band perform would be cool, And
Awesome.
yeah. So
yeah,
so, it's stuff like that. I mean, it's to a degree a little less about a specific thing and more that knowing that there's a group of guys that could come together because of a common cause, but it's not that event is there to talk about I mean, we all know we have it and it's good to talk. It's important to hear each other and to express kind of what's happening and what challenges you're having, because people can help you, the group can help each other in that sense. But I think that also, going out and doing something that has absolutely nothing to do with that, therapy stuff is really huge, because there is a commonality there that if you're suffering when you're about to hit the ball in the golf course thing, it makes it easier. The suffering that the caregivers go through is sort of, you run this gamut between guilt and and urgency, in terms of the urgency to want to rush in and be the caretaker, to take care of things, be the caregiver, right? To give care and to be there and hold everything up and hold everything together but at the same time, everybody keeps talking about how you have to have grace for yourself. You have to think about your own mental state. You can't do that other stuff unless you've got this other thing. And if you take a moment to step away, the guilt that then comes, like, I should be over there doing that. And it's like, so it's, everything's a catch-22. And I think that I wanted to go down this path and share that, because I know that if there are folks that are viewing this that have just come into this experience, you're not alone, and this is a great organization to step into, even if you don't want to talk or say anything, or you just kind of know you're connected to something, and that's huge. So,
thank you for that. Yeah, there's some, you're right. You cannot be an effective caregiver unless you fill up your own cup first. There's a reason that on the airplane they say, put your oxygen mask on yourself before helping others.
Right.
If you are not taking care of yourself and doing the things that bring you joy, whether it's the wood shop or playing music, you're just not going to be as effective as a caregiver. And that's one of the reasons that Jack's is here. We know that. We get it, right? We've been there. All the people in Jack's are somewhere in their journey, and they've had their cup run empty before. They know how important it is to get out. And one of the things that Kyle said to me early on, and I've been a member now for over 4 years, he said, women stereotypically bond face to face. They like to sit down and talk through it. Guys bond shoulder to shoulder. They like walking together or moving together or competing it's not about just looking at each other and having this heartfelt conversation. We have to kind of experience it together, right? We need the axe throwing and the extreme sandbox. Those are things. But to your point, that's actually not really what it was about. You might only have 5 or 10 minutes of meaningful conversation over the course of an hour or two, but it might be the best 10 minutes you had all week. You finally had that moment with somebody, and they didn't judge you for it. They didn't make you feel awkward or guilty. They just understand. One of the first events I went to, it was a golf event. We don't do it anymore, so it was rather expensive, but just imagine a golf event done up to the nines. We had caddies, we had jerseys, with our, caddies had our names on them, and there was a pyramid of balls on the driving range with our name next to them. And it was just incredible. But I'm in the clubhouse after the event, and I'm kind of just taking in the moment. Of course, I was stressed and feeling a little bit guilty about being away from my bride, as many of them were. And I noticed this gentleman sitting in the corner, and I hadn't really talked to him over the course of the event, but there he was. And so I walk over and introduce myself, and I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "Had a good day." He goes, but I couldn't help but think that every shot and every hole and every moment that I was enjoying, she was at home, suffering. And there's very little I could do to change that, other than fill my own cup up and be here so that when I get home, I can appreciate her that much more. Fred, I think people out there don't get that part of it, do they?
No, not really. Yeah.
They don't. Yeah. Well, with that, I'll ask our producer, Chris, to once again throw the URL on the screen. Let's help people like Fred, myself, Travis, Mark, and Chris, and Alan, and all the other Jacks out there. Give us some time to be Jacks. Let us go hang out, share our feelings with one another, and be in a safe environment with people who get it. Fred, as we depart and wrap this up, I know that you're busy and have other things to do other than share your life story with us. Let me just ask you one final question. If you come across somebody who, whether they're in the oncology waiting room, if you ever go back there again after COVID, or if you just see them in the coffee shop, which is how I learned about Jacks. One of the gentlemen I was talking to in line introduced me to Kyle. What would you tell them about Jacks, and how would you encourage them to reach out and learn more?
I think of the two friends that I have who have spouses that have recently, it's not cancer, but some pretty dramatic things have happened, and I've shared the idea of Jacks with them, and there's a hesitancy about this organization, or about any, not this organization, about any like therapy thing, right? It's just, there's a stigma out there about like, oh, I'm too tough, I don't any of that stuff, but that's really not what Jacks is about. And Jacks is a place where the toughest of the tough and the most sensitive of the most sensitive can be there, because it has nothing to do with some of the stigma things. It has everything to do with, I too am having the same thing that you're having right now, and it's a place that I think that you might benefit. Just check it out. Just log in, spend 10 minutes. It'll become 20, it'll become 45, it'll become an hour. And you check that out a little bit, and you realize there's a lot of people out there in the same place, and we're all behind the scenes trying to keep our significant love of our lives going, right, in their challenged medical concerns right now. So I hope that answers the question, Rich.
Yes, and thank you for that, and thank you for your time. I know that you all have plenty to do. Finding stuff to do right now is not the challenge. Finding the time to do it is. And so I appreciate the time that you've shared with me and with the Jacks community. My best to you, to Annie, to your family, to everyone who's helping out with your journey. And I look forward to hanging out with you either virtually, in person, or at a jazz place sometime soon. So thank you for your time, Fred.
You bet, Rich. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Back same to you as well, your family.